Okay, so factorising our trinomials. So the method I'm going to be using is the sum and product method. I've already got my order of consideration at the side here. So obviously, if you can't factorise it, you can't do a difference of two squares, you're now left with the fact that it's a trinomial and you're going to have to do a sum and product. So start off with, got some examples. I've got 6 examples total to get through, just so I can keep showing you how to set up for this method. It's a bit weird at first, but the benefit of it is that it will work perfectly for these types of factorising questions. So you'll be able to factorise any single thing. So our first one here, we've got factorise x squared plus 8x plus 12. So setting up my sum and product table. As I get quicker, well, in the next exercise, I'm just going to put S and P. But for now, I'll have it as sum and product. So the first one I'm going to look at is my sum. The sum is the number in the middle. So the sum is my plus 8. And it is important that I acknowledge that is a positive, especially when we are coming to negatives. And then my product, I think product is another word for multiplying. So I multiply the number at the front with the number at the back. Now there's no number at the front now. So what it essentially will be is 1 times 12. So that will just be 12. Next thing I need to do is think about what numbers multiply together to give me 12. So 1 times 12 does, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. And then I need to look to see which of these pairs could add or subtract to give me this plus 8. And the only one that's going to work is by doing 2 add 6, which equals 8. And that 2 is positive. So then, taking this information, I go back to my original thing here, the x squared plus 8x plus 12. And what I'm doing, essentially, is that I'm breaking apart that 8x and I'm splitting it up to 2x plus 6x. And that plus 12 stays the same. So the only thing that I have changed here is going from this 8x, I've now got plus 2x plus 6x. I think 2 add 6 gives me that 8. So I've just all split it up. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide down the middle. I make sure that this sign is on the right hand side of my division line. And that's just there to help us visually see the next part. And we're going to first common factorise this side. So the common factor on that side is x. Then that'll be x plus 2. Then I always take whatever sign is here. So it's going to be a positive. My common factor with 6x plus 12 is going to be 6. Then I've got x plus 2. Now, you'll know you're on the right track when we've got these two brackets here being the exact same. If they're different, something's gone a bit weird. And then the last thing I do, one of my brackets will be that x plus 2. And my second bracket will be this x plus 6. So the stuff I've got outside the bracket. And what I've essentially done, I've done the reverse of how I normally expand brackets. So that is my sum and product. So again, I've got quite a few examples just so you can keep seeing how to set these up. So our next one then, setting up my sum and product table. My sum this time is -2. I multiply the front number with the back number. So that's going to be -35. Things that multiply to give me that -35, well, I could have 1 times 35. And then my next one will be 5 times 7. And obviously one of these numbers will be negative because I've got a negative there. So then I've got to think which one of these is going to work to give me that -2. If you are unsure about which one's going to be a negative, you can certainly see that I'm more likely to get 2 using these two numbers here. So you could start writing down 5, 7 equals -2. And then think about where your positive and your negatives might be. In this case, 5 take away 7 equals -2. So going back to my x squared minus 2x minus 35, that is now going to be x squared plus 5x minus 7x. Then that minus 35 on the end, same as before. Dividing it down the middle. Common factorising this front half. My common factor is x. Then I'll have x plus 5. Using this sign here. Then my common factor will be 7. And that'll be x. Because that's a negative, I've already got a negative on the outside, so that's going to be positive. And look, my 2 brackets here are the exact same, so I know I'm on the right track. My first bracket will be one of those. And my second bracket will be this x minus 7. Okay, next one then. Again, setting up my sum and product. So my sum is -5. And my product, multiplying the front and the back together, is just going to be 6. And it is a positive 6. So 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. Now, this one is a bit trickier because I can make that -5 in 2 different ways. I could either do 1 take away 6 to give me -5, or I could do -2 minus 3. So at this point, well, the app crashed. Hang on just a second. There we go. There we are. So, continuing on. At this point, we are going to look to see which one of these numbers would multiply together to give me this positive 6. So, I think what 1 times -6 will be, and what -2 times -3 will be. So 1 times -6 will be -6. 2 negatives make a positive, so that will be 6. So that means this is the one that works. So just watch out for when this occurrence can happen. So then going back to my original up here, I'm now going to have x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 6. Dividing down here, I'm now going to have x bracket x minus 2. Taking the sign, it's going to be minus. My common factor now is 3. X. Now at this point, remember, I've got a negative and I need to make a positive. So a negative times a negative makes a positive. So that'll be -2. And again, we can see my 2 brackets are the same. So my first bracket will be that x minus 2. And my second bracket will be this x minus 3. Okay, So now I can quite happily attempt one of these questions. And the setup works in the exact same way as before. Absolutely nothing changes. So my sum is that +9. My product, multiplying the front and the back together, that is now going to be 18. So I could do 1 times 18, 2 times 9, or 3 times 6. Well, 3 add 6 will give me 9. So that is what I'm going to use. So I've now got 2x squared, splitting apart that 9x to be plus 3x plus 6x, and that plus 9, same as before. Dividing down the middle. Common factorising that first half. Common factor there is x. And then it'll be 2x plus 3. Then the common factor here is going to be 3. So we've got 2x plus 3 inside the bracket. And again, looking there, I've got 2 brackets the exact same, so I know I'm on the right track. So my first bracket will be 2x plus 3. And then my second bracket will be x plus 3. All done. And I've not had to change my method at all. It works the exact same way, and that's why I really like the sum and product method. So next one, again, sum, product. So my sum is going to be -13. My product, multiplying the front and the back together, I've got -30. So I've got 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, not 4, 5 times 6. So I've got quite a few to choose from. Only one that looks like it's probably going to work is this 2 and the 15 there. And the way to do that is to take away 15 equals -13. So back to my original equation, I've now got 5y squared. It's going to be plus 2y minus 15y minus 6. Dividing that middle part. Common factor at the front here will be y. Not squared. Taking that sign. Common factor of 15 and 6 is going to be 3. So that'll be 5y plus 2, because remember, got a negative here. I've already got a negative on the outside, so a negative times that positive will remain as a negative. And my 2 brackets are the same, which is good. So I've now got 5y plus 2, then y minus 3. Okay, our last one is going to be a little different. So again, with my order, remember the first thing I need to think about is there a common factor? And yeah, I've got even numbers throughout, so there definitely is a common factor. And that common factor is 2. And when I common factorise it, I've now got 2x squared minus 7x plus 5. And because this is a trinomial, I can factorise it again. So we're going to do that. And it works no different than before. So my sum is -7. My product is going to be 10. So I've got 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. My only option is -2 minus 5 gives me -7. And so I'm now going to have 2x squared minus 2x minus 5 x plus 5 so that's going to be 2. My common factor here at the front is going to be 2x. That'll be x minus 1. common factor here is 5. That'll be x minus 1. And so my first bracket will be that x minus 1. And my second bracket is going to be 2x minus 5. So that is our trinomials using the sum and product method. Hopefully that's made things a bit clearer.